If you look around, there's loads of interesting things everywhere. Looks like someone's had a little bit of fun. Bit of a problem down there, look. Nice little stream. I wonder why there's a ramp going down to it. If you look around enough, you do come across some of the better parts of, well, anywhere really, but because at the moment we're in London, we'll talk about London. If you look around, you do come across the better parts of London. I managed to stick the camera on my wrist as I was on my way here, and I was just sort of doing that. And I think I managed to get some pretty good little bits of footage of some of the more interesting parts. You've got some units which have got graffiti all over them, and they've been there for a long time. Those are the really interesting parts. If you just look around and you just go to places, all you've got is brand new flats and buildings and things like that, which are no good. If you really look around, there's still some of the old parts, the bits, the reminiscing, still about. And then a lot of the time, most of them are still in use. The sad part about that is the people who are using them and people who are about don't care about them. They just it's an old building, who cares about that? I think it should be the opposite. It's an old building, let's look after it and maintain it. It's lasted this long, let's make it last another 50, 60, 70 or 80 years. But people's attitude seems to be, that's just something old, who cares about that? Let's replace it for new. And I don't understand that let's replace for new sort of philosophy. If you've got something that's old, it's been there, it's been around. The same goes for cars, anything really. It doesn't matter how old it is. The fact of the matter is, it's still there. So if you look after it and maintain it, it'll be there for another 50, 60 years. Or whatever the case may be, relative to its lifespan, depending on what it is. And there's no need for new, because this will be as good as new, because you've looked after it. Can you see my point? Take, for example, your car, your motor car. Or, if you haven't got one, if you've got a bike, a push bike or a motorbike, or something of that description. Let's just say, for example, you bought that 10 years ago. Now that bike is now 10 years old, or that car is now 10 years old. The manufacturers have obviously made several new models during that time, but your one, you've still got it and you're still using it and it's still fine. Now let's assume that you've looked after it, you've maintained it. If it's a bike, you've kept the chain oiled and you've replaced tyres and looked after them and blah blah blah, looked after the brakes, all that kind of stuff. You've not let it go rusty, you've kept things oiled and well maintained. If it's a car, you've looked after it, you've done oil changes on it regularly, looked after the engine. If any rust appears on it, you've eradicated that, you've looked after it. Spent a bit of time on it, you've looked after it. It's still good. It may be 10 years old, but it's still as good as it was more or less when it was new, because you looked after it. But then if Joe Bloggs down the road has got a car which is also 10 years old, but you look at it and you think, my God, that come out the bottom of a river. Bit rusty, covered in dirt, tyres are bald, scratches all over it, dents here and there. The engine's not all the best, it's a bit rattly because he hasn't done his oil changes on it. Smokes a bit. I think you can see my point. Look after something and it'll last, and there's no need to replace it for new, because the one that you've got is as good as new. I know some of you are going to say, yeah, but new things have more technology in it and more interesting features. Then maybe so, you know. And, for example, if you've got a car which you've had for 30 years, say you bought a car in 1994, so that would be exactly 30 years old now. You bought a 1994 car, and you look after it, and that 1994 car won't have much in it. It'll be relatively basic, unless you bought a really high-end thing, something like some kind of Jaguar or something like that, I don't know, something. But even, yeah, they had quite a lot of stuff in them. But that would have had aircon if you'd expect it, and things like that. Back in 94, and they still had that kind of stuff. But if it's a basic car, like a Ford Fiesta or something like that, it won't have. But it doesn't matter. It'll still be good if you've looked after it. Do you really need all these modern stuff? For example, all the random computers and things that go wrong, probably quite often. Not really. Do you need, for example, my car's just told me I've got no brake pads left. Just come up with it. No brake pads. Little light. Well, I knew there was no brake pads anyway because you can feel it on the pedal. But do you need a light to tell you you've got no brake pads? Do you need all this kind of stuff? No, you don't. So, you've got this car that you bought in 1994. You've been driving it all this time. To this day, you've looked after it, and it's perfectly good. Not many dents or no dents or scratches. You looked after the engine. The oil is good. Everything's happy. Passes MOTs. No, not rusty. And any rust that did happen, you took care of. Do you really need to give in to the society these days and get rid of it and get something new? No, because what you've got is doing what you want it to do, and you're happy with it. Think about it. A lot of people just follow each other. It's like sheep following each other. Oh, I must get something. I must get a new car. Everyone else has got new cars. I must get a new one. Same with houses. Oh, I don't want an old house. Why don't you want an old house? Well, it's old. Well, what's wrong with an old house? Well, it's old, isn't it? I want a new one. Alright. So the old one, obviously providing you get a survey done, because obviously nothing is perfect and old houses do subside and things go wrong with them, but it's been there for, let's say, 60, 70 years, and it's been fine. You've had surveys and that say there's nothing wrong with the structure of it. It's fine. But it's 60, 70 years old. Yeah, it might have a new kitchen. A bit of decorating here and there, so it's relatively modern on the inside. It's not 1950s on the inside. Do you know what I mean? Looks alright, but the actual structure of the house is 60, 70 years old. But it's been there, it's tried and tested, and it's fine. Or do you want a brand new one? Not tried and tested. Just been thrown up by a load of people who don't know what they're doing. What are you getting? You don't know, do you? You don't know what you're getting, because it's just been there. You can't look at any paperwork and say, "Oh no, it's never had this, it's never," because you don't know. You might buy that house, and 2 years down the line, it subsides or something happens. You don't know. I think it's best. And also, before I go on to what the next thing is, I just think we as humans should be, we've invented things, we've made things. We should be looking after and keeping what we've got, rather than making new things. It might not make no sense in your head, but it does in my head. There's nothing wrong with making new things in general, but we make so many new things, so many people buy new things when what they've already got isn't even gone past its prime, if you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is, there's so many new things, and so many people just want new things, and so many companies promote their new things. They say you don't need what you've got, get a new one. But what you've got is still good. You don't need a new one. But you do get a new one, and the new one just gets thrown in a landfill or supposedly recycled. I don't think the point is really coming out how I want it to come out. but I think some of you might see what I'm trying to say. We should put more effort, or as much effort, into making new things. We should put that into maintaining what we've got. That's a better way of saying it. Instead of keep making loads of new stuff. Yeah, keep inventing things and keep coming up with new ways of doing stuff and new inventions. Brilliant. But we don't need to throw out the old stuff, which is still fine. That's a good way of saying it. I like that. Well done, me. For example, your grandparents, you wouldn't go bloody hell 70, 80 years old now, them grandparents. I don't like them. Too old. Get rid of them. You wouldn't do that, would you? You go, bloody hell, Nan and Grandad, you've lived for 80 years so far. That is brilliant. Well done. Keep going for another 30 or 40 years. You know what I mean? Not 20 years. I suppose 80, maybe 100. No one's going to live for 130, are they? Keep going for another 20 years. Get to 100. That's brilliant. You know, you wouldn't go, bloody hell, you passed your prime. You just wouldn't do it, would you? So why do we do it with things? Phones and whatever else, you know? That's crazy, in my opinion. Phones, these things, pocket computers. Very crazy things. Because, you know, the companies that make them and the companies that sell them, they put pressure on you to get a new one, you know. Your contract's up. You've had it for a year, get a new one. But then you look at, you know, and you go, oh, I want a new one. I need a new one. Yeah, I'll get a new one. But your one that you've got, you've looked after it. It's still doing what it needs to do. Nothing wrong with it. Do you need a new one? No. Why, you know, do you need to spend that extra money on a new one? The extra out cost a month, or the extra outlay? No, because what you've got is fine. But you get brainwashed into thinking that you want a new one. And I know what some of you are thinking, and I think the same. Alright, fair enough, so we don't buy new things anymore. Or as many new things. People still need new things because things do break, things do wear out. Telephones only last so long, and cars do only last so long. But everyone must agree on the car subject, there are far too many cars. You might be naive. I'm not a conspiracy theorist in the slightest, not at all. I just work on facts and what I know and what I learn. But there are so many. Think how many cars come off production lines of different manufacturers every single day. How many people actually buy new cars every day? A lot of people, but they just park them up in massive car parks to sit and rot. And then when you order a new car, they make you another new one. You know, they don't pick one out of that car park and say, there you go, there's your new car. You have to wait a few weeks or months, and then you get your new car because they've just made it. It's just come off the production line, because you wouldn't want one that's sat in a car park for 2 years, would you? Because it wouldn't be new no more, would it? It'd be 2 years old. And it just sat there. All the bushes would have started to perish and that, you know. It's crazy, very mad. Anyway, look into that if you want. About what happens to brand new cars. They roll off the production line, go and sit in a car park somewhere. Big car park. Anyway, so I know what you're thinking. So we don't make as many new phones, we don't make many new computers and laptops. We scale that down and only make a few, you know, a small amount, just to keep everything alright. If someone smashes their laptop, drops it, smashes it, oh, damn it, you know, it's all bent and smashed. Need to buy a new one because it's badly damaged. Alright, so we need to make some new ones. But then what happens to all these companies aren't going to be able to survive because they need to keep making them and selling them to be able to survive. And if they don't survive, we won't have any. You know, I know what you're saying. That's why companies, they make new things. That's why they pressure us into buying new things, because they make them, and if they don't sell them, they won't be able to make enough money to survive, and the company will die, so we'll run out of money. and people won't have any jobs. I know what you're saying, builders. We need to keep building houses because the builders need to keep money coming in to feed their families. And if we don't keep them in daily work, the companies that make the houses won't keep a profit because people won't be buying them. But then on the flip side of that is we've got too many. Everywhere you go is houses and buildings, concrete everywhere. And there's very little nature left. So what happens when we've built too many houses and too many buildings? We can't fit any more in because there's physically no space. That trade dies. But then what'll happen is they knock down all the buildings that have been there for 10, 20 years and build some more on top of them. But they were perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But just because there's nothing else to do, we've run out of things to do because we've exhausted everything, we'll just knock down what we've already built and build another one, just for the sake of it. Seems a bit strange to me. I could have stayed there for another 40, 50 years. But because we've been stupid and we've exhausted ourselves, run ourselves dry, we have to go back and knock down our work and do it again. It's funny. I knew someone once. I haven't spoke to him for probably 10 or so years, but it was from one of my old jobs. He was a very wealthy person, a very, very wealthy person. And it used to make me chuckle because he'd turn around to me and we'd just be chatting and he'd go, "Oh yeah, I've got the builders coming in." "Oh yeah, what are you doing?" "Well," and he had so much money. He'd just be like, "Well, I've got to get rid of some money. So what I'm doing is I'm knocking down the games room in my house, the garages, and I'm having the garden that landscapers come in to redo the garden." So, "Well, you've only had them. You had them built about 2 years ago, didn't you?" "Oh yeah. Sorry, something a bit on me. Oh yeah. Only hadn't. Well, it must have been a couple of years ago I had all that done." "All right." Just because he had the old tax man was on him or whatever, I don't know the bloody reason, but he wanted to get rid of some money. So just for the sake of it, the garages and the games room and the garden that he just had landscaped 2 years ago or less, he's now having redone, all ripped up, knocked down, demolished, and redone again for new, just to get rid of some money. What's that all about? Nothing wrong with it. That's why it's crazy. The world is absolutely mad. I just think, what a waste of materials. What a waste of material. All them buildings, the garages, his games room and everything like that. What a waste. All just smashed up and demolished, got rid of. Yeah, kept the builders paid, didn't it? Great. Good. But what a waste of material. Anyway, you lot, time for me to go and do some work. I don't know. I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. I'm not anything like that. I just sit here and I just get on with life, do my own thing. But I do sit and I do think things like that just don't make any. Like, they make sense in one way. Yeah, we got to keep things moving. We can't just be like, yep, everything's built. We've got plenty of houses, plenty of buildings. They're all fine. There's nothing wrong with them. So what do we do? Right, Mr. Builder? Yep, just sit back. "Oh, what about paying me bills? For me, I need to earn some money." "Oh, but yeah, but we can't because don't need to build anything." Or what about the people who make phones and laptops and everything else? All them manufacturers. Well, we've got enough in circulation. We've got enough. Everyone's got their own laptop. Everyone's got a phone. Everyone's no one needs a new one because everyone's got one. They're all working fine. All right. What about our bills? What about we put food on the table? "Oh yeah, but it doesn't matter because no one needs anything new." So I understand how it must keep going round and round. I just think it's gone very crazy. It has gone mad. It's on the scale of it. What I'm trying to say, the scale of it. Yeah. yeah, you should make new things, and people should have new things. Get rid of what they had old. But I just think it's the scale of it. You know, people keep things for such a short amount of time, and what you have got, there's nothing wrong with. You didn't need to get rid of it. It was fine. You didn't wear it out. You know, it's like, for example, shoes. I wear my shoes right till they fall apart. Like, literally, I wear them until the sole falls off, or it wears out and my feet are on the ground before I get a new pair. But some people, every couple of weeks, couple of months, go and get a new pair. What's wrong with your old pair? I think just fancies a new pair. Alright, then they put them in the bin. You know, I just think it's a waste. It's a massive waste when you do things like that. But put it in the comments, what do you think? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, you know, so stick it in the comments. What do you think on that? You know, and the same is with people, like, you go in these shops and they encourage you to get new kitchens and redecorate your house and everything like that, but there might be nothing wrong with what you've got. Your kitchen might be fine. It might be 10 years old, but is it functional? Is it still looking all right? Is it worn out? No, we don't need a new one then, do you? But then, you know, people are like, well, I want something new, and then what you've got, you're taking out and throwing away. It's a waste of the material. That's just my view on it. You know, it's a waste. Changing something which isn't broken, or isn't worn out, is crazy in my opinion. You use something, you wear it out, it can't be used no more, that's the end of it, then you get something new. Anyway, have a lovely day, you lot. Enjoy yourselves. It's going to be, well, I don't know what day you're watching this, obviously, but today for me now, filming this, it's set to be 33 degrees Celsius today. So it's going to be a warm one. It's already in, I think it's about 26 at the moment, and it's 20 past 5 in the morning. So, happy days. We love it. What a lovely bloody day. Enjoy yourselves, and also put in the comments where you are. Where are you watching this video from? Where in the world are you? You know, you could be anywhere in the world. Put in the comments, where are you? I love to hear from you. And if you've got enough time, just put what's it like where you live, you know. Is it overpopulated and overcrowded like it is here in the UK? Or is it nice and spaced out? You know, what's it like? Let me know. I'd love to hear from all of you. You're all, you know, very interesting people. So, all the best, you lot. Remember, treat people nicely. Treat people how you want to be treated, and with any luck, they'll treat you the same back, and then you'll have a nice, happy life. Yeah, cheerio, you lot. All the best.